Microsoft Azure Integration and Security. Microsoft Azure Arizona 101 free dumps. 1. A web developer creates a web application that you plan to deploy as an Azure web app. Users must enter credentials to access the web application. You create a new web app named WebApp1 and deploy the web application to WebApp1. You need to disable anonymous access to WebApp1. What should you configure? Advanced Tools Authentication/Authorization. Access Control Deployment Credentials. Correct answer, B. 2. You are building a custom Azure function app to connect to Azure Event Grid. You need to ensure that resources are allocated dynamically to the function app. Billing must be based on the executions of the app. What should you configure when you create the function app? The Windows operating system and the consumption plan hosting plan. The Windows operating system and the app service plan hosting plan. The Docker container and an app service plan that uses the B1 pricing tier. The Docker container and an app service plan that uses the S1 pricing tier. Correct answer, A. 3. You have an Azure App Service plan named AD2MASP1 that uses the P2v2 pricing tier. AD2MASP1 hosts an Azure web app named AD2WebApp1. You need to delegate the management of AD2WebApp1 to a group named devs. Devs must be able to perform the following tasks: add deployment slots, view the configuration of AD2MASP1, modify the role assignment for AD2WebApp1. Which role should you assign to the devs group? Owner, contributor, web plan contributor, website contributor. Correct answer, B. 4. You have an Azure App Service plan that hosts an Azure App Service named App1. You configure 1 production slot and 4 staging slots for App1. You need to allocate 10% of the traffic to each staging slot and 60% of the traffic to the production slot. What should you add to App1? Slots to the testing and production blade. A performance test. A job. D templates to the automation script blade. Correct answer, A. 5. You have an Azure Service Bus. You need to implement a Service Busqueue that guarantees first in first out FIFO delivery of messages. What should you do? Set the lock duration setting to 10 seconds. Enable duplicate detection. Set the max size setting of the queue to 5 GB. Enable partitioning. Enable sessions. Correct answer, E. 6. You have a Microsoft SQL Server Always On Availability group on Azure virtual machines. You need to configure an Azure internal load balancer as a listener for the availability group. What should you do? Enable floating IP. Set session persistence to client IP and protocol. Set session persistence to client IP. Create an HTTP health probe on port 1433. Correct answer, A. 7. You discover that VM3 does not meet the technical requirements. You need to verify whether the issue relates to the NSGs. What should you use? Diagram in VNet1. The security recommendations in Azure Advisor. Diagnostic settings in Azure Monitor. Diagnose and solve problems in Traffic Manager profiles. IP flow verify in Azure Network Watcher. Correct answer, E. 8. You need to meet the technical requirement for VM4. What should you create and configure? An Azure Notification Hub. An Azure Event Hub. An Azure Logic App. An Azure Service Bus. Correct answer, B. Real questions collected from Real Test. Enjoy 1-year free update. If fail, 100% money back guarantee. Files sent in both PDF and software. Big discount, 25% off. https://www.passcert.com/az-101.html. Why choose Passcert?